is Primus Tracks with Josh, Frankie, and Soya.
What a couple of notions. Hello, Primates! You found Primus Tracks. Congratulations! Sausage abounds tonight. I'm Josh. Right over there in Primus Tracks Towers in Mexico City is Frankie Berestein.
Hey, guys.
You know, we're talking about the Sausage record, Riddles Are Abound Tonight from 1994, as we make our way through the first of many side projects that we'll discuss track by track. And we need help. Well, I mean, we need help in general, but it's great to bring in a couple of guys who can talk sausage with us. It's a sausage party here with a couple of guys that I want to bring in. The first, I just saw him play his latest Victims Family gig up in Eugene, Oregon. It's Tim Soya. He's back!
Guys, what's up?
You exhausted?
Man, I somehow made it out of Mexico City without seeing Frankie, which was weird because I chased him down through alleys and he was running from me the whole time. It was weird. I had my Bowie CDs out for him to sign and everything, man. It wasn't happening. And then, of course, Josh, it was great. You came to our show. It was awesome.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Tens and tens of people and lots of beer. We had a good time. It was fun. Nasal Rod ripped it.
Yes, they did. I drank a lot more beer than I usually do, and I felt great.
All right.
It was a good night.
You had 2 that I saw you drink. That's a lot, dude.
I had about 4 or 5. You were busy ripping it up.
You're a teacher. I get it. You're a teacher.
Yeah. You know.
Well, it's good to be back, man. Thanks, guys. I only come in when it's relevant to my tenure with Primus, so it's great to be back.
Yeah, Soya's got some insights on the Sausage record, and we're going to break those down through all 9 tracks of these. And I want to bring in a friend of ours who's been on the show before, and I'm so glad he's back again. And he's much healthier this time. I can tell, because he was sick last time. He braved it. He's got his beautiful-looking Fender bass there, and it's Blas Perez. Welcome back to Primus Tracks.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, Blas.
Yes.
Hey, Blas.
Yeah.
So how are things for you, Blas? I know you're an LA guy. Winter tours, not as big as summer tours, I imagine, unless you're in Victims Family. So how are things going for you?
Good. I'm just doing a bunch of local stuff right now, doing the whole corporate events and all that stuff that I do. Pretty busy every weekend, and nothing going on with Mr. Danny Harrison anytime soon. Just rumors, we hear of doing stuff this year because he's keeping busy making a new record and all that. So, we're just hearing rumors that we might be doing stuff, but we'll see.
Wow. You're the live band bass player, and you have to deal in rumors and innuendo.
Yes. Yeah. It's just because we have like people from the team saying, oh, I talked to, management, or I talked to so-and-so, and apparently, this stuff's going to pop off, this year, because we were supposed to do a bunch of stuff during 2020 that just, didn't happen. And so ever since then, it's like, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So we'll see.
Blas, I understand that Danny was very involved with the All Things Must Pass reissue that came out a couple of years ago, right? Similar to the way that Sean gets really involved in his father's reissues, which I think is really awesome. It's really cool that their sons take care of their legacy. At least it's better than some record label executive, right?
Oh, dude, yeah. You have no idea the stuff that is on that guy's table. Like, nothing gets greenlit if it doesn't go through Danny and his mom. But they it's pretty much Danny who's like, it's gotta be, it's gotta be cool with him, or else nothing gets released. So yeah, it's pretty rad.
Well, we're here to talk about Prelude to Fear, the opening track to Riddles Are Abound Tonight.
Miscellaneous debris.
The 1994 Sausage record. But I suppose we have some miscellaneous debris first.
My miscellaneous debris, however, is a request from a listener.
I'm not taking my shirt off. No.
Okay. This is a message I got from her fan, which on previous occasions has provided us with really fantastic insight. But this time he had a special request, and he said, it would be really helpful if you could mention on the podcast that for all concert attendees at Primus shows, would they kindly shut the hell up during performances, because there is a 95% chance they are standing next to a taper and their drunken ramblings will be available for everyone to collectively roll their eyes at forever.
Tough
He said
nuts, man.
he said he recorded the Michigan show and he had to scrap it because two drunk guys were talking so loud throughout the entire performance that they completely ruined the recording.
Oh, I guess that's the risk you take when you're trying to record at any show. I have a feeling most of our audience is not the get drunk and yell the whole time clientele. But, you know, that's what I did at the Victim's Family show. I was irate.
You were yelling throughout the entire show?
Yeah. Soya!
Josh was taping and yelling the whole time.
No, you do it right there.
I ruined my own recording.
He was so ecstatic about my drumming. It was amazing.
You're amazing, Soya! Oh, gosh, yeah. So I'm guilty of it, too. So I understand. But Herb Van, it's tough out there getting quality audience recordings, which is why Primus...
his position instead of everybody like adhering to his privacy in his little sphere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody's gets to enjoy themselves in the way they want, and that's the beauty of things, but it's also the maddening aspect of things for some. Just one more reason why they need to bring back primuslive.com so we can just buy those wonderful soundboards that Soya loves so much.
Soundboards,
I found
please.
one time, Frankie, I'll tell you, I found one time in a box recently, or not recently, in the last 10 years, a little handheld micro cassette recorder, handheld thing, like to dictate into. And I had grabbed it on the Punch Bowl tour out of some dude's hand, right in the. I went in the pit and grabbed it out of his hand because Les is always like, dude, no recording.
Oh, wow.
And I found it. I just threw it in a box, ended up with it. Not too long ago, Lucy, my daughter, found it and she like hit play and it's like, Here Come the Bastards was the opening song. And it's like, it's so blown out with the subs. It's just like, and you hear everybody hoofing and hollering, and it's like, and then you hear me grab it. It's like, but Lucy's like, "This is awesome, Dad! You totally grabbed that thing. That's awesome." But not anymore, man. Now you just get dickheads screaming into the mic next to you. Too bad.
Yep, lots of woo-ler, which is my favorite thing to hear on the recording.
Say something.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if we can honor that request. But yeah, we should talk about Prelude to Fear and the Sausage record in general here. For those unfamiliar, Sausage is Les Claypool, Todd Huth, and Jay Lane. That's the incarnation of Primus before Lesler Herb, that we all know so well. And of course, that project name derives from the 1998 Primus demo. The album Riddles Are Abound Tonight was recorded at The Corn, which is the nickname of Les's Berkeley house. This was recorded in 1994. Worth noting that it's self-produced by the band, engineered by Les, and released by Prawn Song Records under exclusive license to Interscope Records. And that, of course, is the label that by this time in 94 had helped the Primus guys make some money to live on. Maybe you can help with the narrative here, Soya. I remember in the Primus book and some interviews, he said, I wanted to go back and play with those guys and get them a chance to tour, cut a record, get on a label. Todd and Jay, really helped bring that band along, considering that Sausage demo that you talk about with reverence to this day.
Well, you gotta remember that when that Sausage demo came out was kind of the pinnacle moment of Primus before they got to the Interscope moment. Like that demo tape surfaced and everybody went bananas over Primus in the Bay Area. And so at that time, the songs that were important to Primus did not include pretty much all of the songs except for Toys on the Sausage record. Those are all old pre-Jay Lane and pre-Larry and pre-Tim Alexander songs, Right. And Frankie's got all the demos. We've heard a lot. Not some of them. I'm just saying, Frankie, that a lot of those songs are on there and they never came out until the Sausage record came out, Yep. And, discussing it with Les over the time, he's always been very clear to say, they were just songs he did not feel were part of what the lineup was at Primus moving forward, And so he wanted to go back and really felt those songs needed to come out, in some form, even if they're not exactly how they were with Perm Parker playing drums or whatever,
Right.
As you know. So, as well as he wanted to help Jay and Todd out, I think he really just wanted to release that stuff, It's some form. it's the best fucking shit ever, but whatever.
Well, that's my follow-up question. I want to ask you first, Soya, and then Blas second. What is your relationship to this record as a whole? Because Soya, I know you're a big fan of it. So let's start with you.
Well, I was surprised because, I didn't have all the cassette tapes like that Frankie has collected over all these years, and knows that stuff. I didn't collect all those tapes. So when this record came out, other than Toys and maybe Shattering Song, I never really heard any of them in any form, anywhere,
Oh, wow.
Because Sausage was the only demo tape I ever had of Primus. I didn't go back cataloging or, go seeking around. There was no internet back then, This thing blew my mind, And I think it's really important because it's where Les came from with his writing, So I was really into it. Loved it. Still love it.
I remember you saying it was a top 10 record for you. Is that accurate?
Totally. Very accurate.
Yeah.
Of all records of all time, this is in my top 10 for sure.
Wow. Now I know No Means No Wrong is in there as well. So I know two of your top 10.
Yep.
What's one more that I might not know in your top 10?
Oh, man.
I know. Putting you on the spot.
I don't know. Stop.
And it's in no particular order, this top 10, I'm guessing.
Yeah, my top. Okay, Helmet Aftertaste is one.
Oh, there you go. That's a good one.
John Stanier wants to punch me in the face for saying that because he hates that record.
Oh, does he?
Favorite Helmet ones, yeah.
Oh.
Every time I bring it up or play those licks in front of him, he gets mad, laughing. Love that one. Come on, man. Slayer, Rain and Blood, Hell Awaits, those. Rush, Moving Pictures. Jesus Christ.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast. I mean, there's ones that really changed my life,
Yeah.
Those are some of them. Mentors, you ask for it, got to put that in there.
Oh, geez, Mentors. Yes. One of my next projects is I just want to have Soya tell stories, and his Mentors stories are pretty great, so we'll save those for another day.
Right, so hold on. So what was the question on Sausage? We're trying to be relevant.
Yeah. Just your relationship with the album. I mean, you call it a top 10 album, so what makes it that for you? And
it's Jay Lane's one of my favorite drummers, of course, and Les and Todd. And just that recording was so great, like they really captured the moment, even though it was a later moment of older stuff. I just really the sonic, like bombastic of it. I love every second of it,
It really caught you.
I heard it on mushrooms one night. It was even better.
Well, that's the sign of a good record.
I don't know what to say, man. It's really good, man.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Les and the old stuff, because I was there in the beginning, and that one just really grabbed me, man.
Yeah. Sometimes when you really love something, there's not a lot to say as far as why you love it, and I totally understand. Blas, can I turn that to you? What's your relationship with this record? I mean, when we were communicating about it leading up to this, you said, "Oh yeah, Prelude to Fear, let's go."
It's my favorite song off the record for sure. But I just remember, this record cause, pre-internet and all that stuff. I think I remember just being at Tower Records and they had this whole, in the Primus section, they had this Sausage record there and they had like a thing like written up saying like, this is the original Primus lineup. Get this record kind of thing, And I was just like, what the hell is this? And I was like, holy shit, Sausage. I've heard, Sausage, the demo, but, never heard it, pre-internet. I was just like, what? Like immediately grabbed it and went and bought it and put it in and holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, it was not Primus. It was different, even though it is Primus songs,
Yeah. There was something like, I don't know, because you just came off of Pork Soda.
Yeah.
And this is like Primus at their like, shit, dude, they're just peak of their powers, like, cause I remember when they did that Woodstock thing, that was during a Sausage tour. That's
right. Yeah. They all flew in with no rehearsal and just did that show and nailed it with Primus.
Killed it.
Les was on the Helmet Rollins tour.
Yep. Yeah. I was there. I got to go to that. But yeah, dude, man, yeah, just right out the bat, there was something just amazing about just the way it kicks in, like the bass and the drums. And then like, it's like, okay, I recognize that You know, it's like the bass playing instantly recognizable. But then when the Todd Huth guitar line was just like, holy shit, this is awesome, because it just revealed like how important like Tim and Larry are. Like, because it's like, that's Primus. That's what like I'm used to. And then all of a sudden it's like, damn, like Todd Huth and like Jay Lane are just completely different animals.
Yeah.
And they completely just have their own voice. It's like, this is part 2 or the prequel to Primus, right?
Right on. The prequel is a very good.
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah.
So it was just like, it was so like badass, just like right out the gate. It was an instant like, yep, I like this a lot, you know?
Yeah.
So it was immediate for you. Definitely.
Yes.
Right
like
on.
right out the gate. And to me, it's like my favorite song, first song off of it. It was just like, oh dude. Yeah. Like, so sick.
My relationship with it is different in the sense that I think I'd known about it as early as about 1995. And that's around the time I got internet at home after begging and pleading and begging and pleading. And I was obsessively checking all those Primus fan pages as a 14-year-old. Especially ram.org, the Bastard Boat, and all these other ones, which are still out there. You can find them still. But the Ram one, I remember he had a poll up. What is your favorite Primus/Les record? There were about 4 Primus records on there, and Sausage. And Sausage was always in last place in the poll. And I didn't really know what Sausage was, and I think a lot of people didn't. And of course, it's a biased poll, but 14-year-old me was thinking, oh, that must not be a great record. And it colored my thinking about that record as a kid, being impressionable in that way. I'd also read a review that called this watered down Primus. And
wow.
Yes. And that was back in the mid 90s. So I think that also influenced my thinking on it. And of course it couldn't be further from the truth, but, I just have no recollection of when I first listened to it, but I don't know that I understood it for a while, but man, it holds
you got to realize that record with Les, bringing up those old songs with no trying to write a hit or trying to write the next popular Primus record. He went back to an old bunch of songs, and you can tell how relaxed and how like it doesn't matter. I'm doing my thing. Whereas he does that with Primus, we all know that, like Primus is Primus. He's not kowtowing to what the label wants or whatever, all that bullshit. Yep. But it's like there's just this feel of that record that is so like Les is just cutting loose with his eyes closed on his own shit, and like, yeah, I'll put this out for you guys. Check this out. We used to do this stuff, and it's like there's something about it, man, that is so unhinged, killer. That's not like, is this going to be good or is this going to be bad? I don't know, because we just wrote it. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. It does have that confidence to it. Of a guy who's been doing this for a while, and Todd and Jay are pros, and it all, we'll talk about it as we go through, and it all comes together for me.
We've talked about it a million times about how Les's thumb and Jay Lane's kick drum foot are like surgically attached, like in the ether. It's like there's something about those two when they get together. It's trippy, man.
Yeah, for sure. Frankie, I want to throw that to you as well, and then I know you have an essay.
For a very long time, I used to have only the CD, and I got it just because I knew it was related to Primus, and I had to have it in my collection. But to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't play it.
Why? Because you just collected it.
I just collected it, and then I left it on the shelf, and I was not attracted to it. And then I got the 5 Gallons of Diesel DVD, and that has the Riddles Are Abound Tonight music video and the making of.
Oh yeah.
And I was fascinated by the video, and I thought, wow, that song is pretty cool. So then I only heard that song from the record. I would play that one on repeat, and I didn't hear the rest. And that went on for a few years until I was, looking up some information about the different projects, and I read a guy saying that he had once gone on a road trip with his girlfriend. They were listening to her mixtape or something like that, and then she fell asleep. So he took out this album, and he heard it several times in a row, back to back. And that's when I thought, well, if someone out there heard this album several times in a row on the same road trip, maybe I should give it a chance because perhaps I'm missing out on something. And then my mind was absolutely blown. The first time that I heard it, the standout tracks, of course, were Prelude to Fear, Riddles Are Abound Tonight, and Recreating. I couldn't get enough of those 3 tracks. And then over time, as I explored it more and more, it started to sink in. It wasn't immediate like the Primus albums. It's something that took some effort on my end. But once it clicked, it certainly became one of my favorite albums of all time for several reasons. First of all, I don't think there is anything else out there that sounds like it in terms of production, in terms of the structure of the songs, in terms of the general vibe and the atmosphere of the record. I think it's 100% unique. The other reason that I really enjoyed it is because we have these audience recordings of the early Primus shows where they play some of the songs. We have all the literature surrounding those early days, but this is by far the best document about what Primus used to be like. And it's a fascinating look into the way that Les used to write songs and the way that the band used to sound before Lur and Tim Alexander came in. So for many multiple reasons combined, it became a favorite record of mine. And then I began a hunt for all the other editions I was missing. And as you know, the vinyl is pretty hard to get a hold of. So that was really amazing when I finally got one. And when I was in Japan, I also hunted high and low on every record store until I finally found a Japanese version of the album. So that is also another really interesting aspect of the record, that it's something very collectible. There are many things out there. I mean, there are still t-shirts and posters and stuff that I don't have yet because they're kind of hard.
Yes, I love it that you say yet.
Yeah. Growth mindset.
So I would say, yeah, it's a combination of different factors, and it's a record that I really appreciate. And I would say that another really memorable thing about the album, well, 2 memorable things, of course, watching Sausage perform at New Year's Eve, which is something we have discussed extensively. And when I first met Les in person, I knew that I had to bring this album over because I really wanted his signature on it. And at that time, fortunately, Jay Lane was in Primus, so I got both signatures on it. And after Josh posted his signed booklet the other day, I went to Primus Track's Facebook and I posted mine completely out of spite.
Yeah, I didn't earn mine. Somebody just sent, Carlos just sent it to me. You did the work to get the autographs on yours. Completely
Awesome.
out of spite. Oh, good. We're spite posting now on this podcast. We've made some strides here. That's great, Frankie. So it does hold up for you, and it's up there. I think it sounds like that's the case for all of us. So let's dig into Prelude because Blas has that beautiful bass right there. Frankie, can you give us some history on this one, and then we'll go to Blas.
Sure. The track harks back to as early as 1987, at least. We know that there is a demo recording, and we know that it was performed at early Primus shows. It's impossible to nail down a specific live premiere because we know that time in Primus is really muddy in terms of documentation. So we have a lot of blanks in terms of live dates. So we know that it was performed back then. We just don't know how many times or when it was premiered. After that, it came back for the 1994 Sausage Tour, and it was performed exactly like on the record. Then it came back with the Frog Brigade for a few performances throughout 2000 and 2001. And of course, you can imagine being the Frog Brigade, Prelude to Fear became a jam vehicle. And then it was performed by the Fancy Band, and also on a single occasion by the Rat Brigade. And we're going to hear some of that, of course, when we reach the live cuts. Last performances to date include 2011 at the Hop Monk Tavern, and that was reprised in 2013. And then we have New Year's Eve, and then we had the Hopmonk Tavern once more in 2021.
Oh,
so
right.
These are sausage performances once more.
Right.
You say there's a recording of this pre Primus?
Yeah, we have. I mean,
Modern
we're actually going to play a recording of one of the very early live renditions where you can see how it was performed at a much slower tempo.
So my question is, who was the drummer?
It says 1987. So would that be Libby?
Could have been. Yeah, maybe so. Is Prelude to Fear on some of those early tapes that we were talking about last time I was on here?
Yeah, there's a demo.
Mikey?
Yeah.
Where Peter Libby, remember I was texting him
Yep.
and trying to get to the bottom of some stuffs? This Prelude to Fear was one of the ones on that demo he did, right?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. I've never heard any of that. I've never heard him
Or
that song.
or maybe, Josh, it could be Curveball. That's
We'll be able to.
possibility, right?
I think we'll be able to tell when we hear it.
Curveball was right after Peter Libby, so
We'll definitely be able to tell because those two guys.
the funny thing,
easy to
the funny thing,
differentiate.
as why I'm asking is because what Jay Lane plays on the Sausage record to that song, obviously Jay wasn't the drummer in the early days on it, so the drummers before him were very simple. You know, I'd be interested to hear what they play with Jay's little less him hi-hat and all that crazy syncopation. You know, I just don't see it happening with the other dudes, but I'm interested to hear it. You know.
All right, Blas. I hope that thing's comfortable hanging over your shoulder there. But oh man, the tone, like before we press record, oh my goodness, I can't wait to hear you just jam on this thing. So, what in the world are we dealing with as a foundation for Prelude to Fear?
Dude, yeah, like learning this thing, or relearning it. This thing is just wacky as hell, dude. Like, it makes no sense. It's just badass. Like, that's all I can say. There's just, there's a lot of stuff too. There's just a lot of like ghost notes kind of flying by that, you know, you're just kind of like, I think this is what's happening, but I'm not 100% on it. Cause it's to me, it feels like this is just something so natural that like Les does, like just something, how his hands are wired. This just sounds something very natural that just kind of like flows out of him that anybody else, like, it's just a pain to play. Like, it's just like, it's really hard, but it just sounds.
I actually have looked at his fingers and watched him, what he does, because it's such a crazy bass line. And I actually seriously looked at his fingers to see what he was doing, how he was making it happen. So let me see what you do. I'll tell you, I'll give you any hints like that of help I can.
Nice.
Beautiful. Let me try it. Here we go. I messed that up. Let me try it again. There it is. It's that
goodness.
part. So it's like, so it's like,
Yes, that's what I was going to tell you. If you didn't do it, he uses 3 fingers on the right hand on that one.
yeah.
And he rolls them up as he goes, and it looks like he's not doing anything, but his fingers go, well,
Oh, yeah.
like he's so smooth about it. But I was like, man, I can see 3 of his fingers hitting strings on this fucking thing. Man.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. And then he's a 3-finger player. So you add that to it, you know, and it's like, yeah, it just sounds super natural and flowing when he does it. And I could hear him taking, you know, kind of changing it up like every now and then, just kind of, you know, messing with it and doing his thing. So, but yeah, it really is just wacky as all hell. It's just like a total, you know, rad Primus riff. It's like, this is why you love Primus right there, you know? But, yeah, I kind of threw on the headphones today and just kind of listened to it pretty closely. And, the part that's really kind of odd and wacky is that descending thing. So this part is like pretty discernible and then when it gets to this part, it's like, oh, I think that's what he does. That.
Yeah, wow. There you go.
Because there's so many ghost notes. It's like some of them aren't like he's not fretting all of them. They're a lot of ghosty and just kind of like,
Amazing you figured that out.
Yeah, thanks, dude. It's tough. But yeah, so playing it, up to speed, it's it takes a little bit.
And he plays it for like pretty much 2/3 of the song. He just keeps repeating that over and over and sings on top of it.
Dude, and that's another thing, dude. Like the whole singing and playing thing, like I've always just, it takes a lot for me. I've sucked at that. So if I need to sing something and play, dude, it's total, walking and chewing bubblegum thing. Dude, that dude is just, when it comes to that, is like, that's next level. That's like, he's like same with Chris Squire and like Getty, like they can sing and play the most like difficult stuff and they just do it. And it's just like, wow, that to me is like an insane talent, the singing and playing at the same time. Yeah. Jeez.
Blas, what is particularly difficult about this song?
But the one thing that's really difficult is the string, like skipping thing. He jumps from, so you're good there, and then you're good there, but then after when he gets to that run from there, and it's immediately, it's like the next thing. It's just like you're going. It's like there's no stopping, and and it just sounds so flowing and effortless with him. So it's just like, yeah, dude, this is just something that came out of you. And of course, this is what you do. But, anybody else, it's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I'm going to interject because I don't think we mentioned it yet, but it was in an interview, or maybe Les said it. I don't remember, but I do remember him saying this was the second song he wrote for Primus.
Correct.
Right.
And so, and so we had the double time Too Many Puppies, and then this, and this was at a slower pace.
Much slower. We have to emphasize.
Yeah, a much slower pace.
Play it slow, Blas. Is it easier slow?
Way easier, dude. Yeah. It's like that's how you practice.
That sounds like the early version.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What's it? What is that? The tempo, Frankie, of the earlier one?
Pretty close.
That's correct.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it. I've never heard this.
Blas, I understand that on the studio recording, Les is playing this song on a jazz precision bass, right?
On a jazz bass, yeah, Fender jazz bass. That
not a precision. Les never played a precision.
Oh, it's a Fender jazz bass, yeah.
Always had, or not always, but he got into the jazz bass, which is what was recorded on the Sausage record. Actually,
just like that.
Awesome. Just like that one, yeah.
That's why I brought this one out. This is my first bass ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is the first bass. My first bass was a Memphis, just like Les, which is really weird. Oh. He had a Memphis. Yeah, my first bass was a Memphis, but this is like my first like bass. I got it my brother bought it for me in like 1990, 1991, something like that. And yeah, I still play it. It's rad. But yeah, that jazz bass, that red one, that's like all over the Sausage footage. Yeah, that's what he rocked, and it definitely sounds like a jazz bass.
I wanted to ask you about that because that tone really is unique, and it definitely sounds different from those Carl Thompsons that we'd heard all the way up to this point on a jazz bass. My goodness, it just sounds like it was made for that kind of bass almost.
Yeah, it's definitely a jazz bass is definitely like it's very slap friendly. It's very percussive. It almost has like a natural kind of scoop, and it has a nice low end still. So I remember Les saying something of like, yeah, I love jazz basses because you could beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's true. You could really like hammer the shit out of them and they just sound good. It's definitely different than a precision. Precision is more mid-range focused, very Iron Maiden,
I was going to say Steve Harris made that one famous for the New World,
Exactly.
The Run to the Hills video.
Yes. Fuck, man, I watched the shit out of that thing.
Yeah. But, when I got Les to get off the 6-string fretless on Tommy, he went back to the 4-string Carl. But then when Brain got in the band, he pulled out the jazz bass and would do The Awakening and Tommy the Cat on the jazz bass. He had a cream one for that tour we had.
Right.
As heard on Rhinoplasty.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yes, the rhinoplasty bass. Yeah.
Blas, in terms of the guitar, would you say that what Todd Huth is doing is equally complex?
it does sound that there's a lot of kind of little kind of ghost notey things happening with him with this picking hand, you know,
Yeah.
those little things where kind of similar to like when you hear him play Tommy, his version of Tommy the Cat. It has a little more picking kind of stuff going on. It's not as like thrashy and like, you know, skate punk as Larry, which I love, you know, his version. But yeah, Todd has like a really weird, you know, picking technique where he just kind of throws in those little notes where you're like, damn, dude, that's pretty badass.
Yeah.
And I can't, yeah.
Frankie, because you've heard all these earlier versions of all these songs. Yeah. I have not. I know that Jay and Les recorded Sausage Record without Todd. Like they did drums and bass, but Todd was not there. Then Todd came in and laid down guitar on top of everything.
Yeah.
Did he recreate the same parts, or it felt to me like he just kind of was adding soundscapes on a lot of stuff, and it wasn't really a part or that he couldn't remember, or is it similar?
It's pretty similar. Yeah. Do you agree, Josh, that he's pretty faithful to those early recordings that we have?
Hell with it. Let's play it. A kind of a booty leggy compilation called The Early Days, 87, 88.
Possibilities. Unaware, self-appointed bystander of complete innocence. Midnight. Oh, Robert John. To the streets, grace, not by lamplight. Prelude to fear.
Good.
Wow.
That was a nice chord there.
They really did recapture it, man. That's rad. I never heard that before. That's cool.
You know, all that old stuff, pre Jay Lane, pre Tim, is a very strong Talking Heads influence, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Les used to wear leg warmers. He admitted to me on stage. He had flash dance leg warmers on. He was dancing around.
Yes.
Like, man, that's so lame. He's like, what, dude? That was like, everybody wore leg warmers. I was like, no, man.
Bring them back. Bring those back.
So
that was awesome, man. So that's 87. So you think that?
Yeah. Does that sound like Libby or Curveball to you?
That sounds like Peter Libby, because Peter Libby had some spunk and some action, and Curveball was very basic. Okay. Any Curveball stuff you hear is like very simple, and there's no fills, or if they are, they're really simple. That sounds like Peter Libby to me.
I did hear some hi-hat action in there, so Jay had something to build on, for sure. Yeah.
Curveball would not have done some funky hi-hat like that, which that's groundbreaking for the time, 87, to do funky hi-hat like that for a new wave punk band, I guess. What do you want to call it?
Other than all that wonderful atonal vocal work throughout that sample and the Sausage Record, which I really love. I don't particularly know what Les is going for, but it's like he's making his own tones with it. But Blas, what are you hearing in that early version that carries over to what's on the Sausage Record?
It's pretty much all there. Yeah. There's maybe like a few. Yeah, there's maybe a few notes, and again, it's like I don't know if he changed anything there or if you're just hearing a clearer version of it. You know, like is that what he's playing, and it's just a lot clearer on this. You know, because on the Sausage album, Jay Lane is right there with them, so he's kind of covering it up a little bit. Like he's hitting all those notes with Les, whereas this it leaves. Just that kind of 4 on the floor beat leaves a lot of space for you to hear what Les is doing. So is he playing the same thing, or are we just hearing a clearer version of it? But it's pretty much, it's all there.
Just amped up as far as tempo goes, eh?
Yeah.
And man, to hear Les play it years later and be faster and more fluid with it, like it's something he's been playing the whole time and gotten better and better at it, you know? Like,
yeah. And that seems to be the pattern from a lot of these demos is they're pretty slow tempo, some of those earlier demos, and then when you get to a formal recording of them, they're cooking.
Yeah, and you could hear how just the influence of Jay and like Tim when they get in the band, like for this song in particular, I could almost see Jay hearing this riff and him going like, ooh, like, dude, I'm just going to do this. Like, check this out. And all of a sudden it's like.
Totally. I mean, Jay, like we say, Jay's foot is connected to the thumb and then Jay does that hi-hat shit is his magic, man.
Yeah. He's just like doing everything right there.
I'm not dissing on what Peter Libby did or what Curveball does, but there's something about when Jay and Les are together. It's just like, man, how the fuck did you guys come up with that together? They're just like, hey, we're just fucking jamming out, dude. Who knows? Who cares? It's like,
it's undeniably special.
Assholes.
Josh. Josh, I also wanted to point out that they could have gone with a photograph of all three band members for the front cover or maybe something more conventional, but they picked this really interesting piece of artwork. And as soon as you play Prelude to Fear, just the first few seconds right off the bat, the sound of the record matches the cover perfectly. And that is really remarkable.
Yes, I think it's on theme. I don't know that the power of suggestion would take you to that conclusion because it just has that vibe of mystery and strangeness that this record captures, especially on this opening track. Blas, you illustrated that bass line and it's, I don't know, almost Byzantine, it's like verging on, if he had taken it a few more steps, it's really getting into some prog territory that could be hard to decipher, and that would be a lot of fun. But by sticking with this, it's got that A-B structure this track does. So we got that A part, which is pretty wild, and I'm not sure if Todd's finger picking that lick, but it's always been with that clean tone. It's always been something that's been kind of a bugaboo. I'm thinking, well, how does he do that? And I didn't look closely enough because I was up in the nosebleeds in New Year's Eve 2019. Soya was right there on side stage. He'd be able to tell us.
I mean, I have always been partial to think that he did that guitar part without a pick.
Yeah.
That sounds like a plucking kind of thing.
Yeah.
Down, like he's like,
he might be doing
shit like banjo style shit.
Yeah, I think he might be doing that hybrid picking thing where he has a pick,
right? But he's plucking along with some stuff at the same time. That's what it's always sounded like to me from day one. I've heard this record.
Yeah,
it's like, man, he's plucking on this one. That's rad.
It helps him cover a lot of ground, and then with that clean tone, it's pretty easy to pick out at least the notes. Not that I could sit here and learn it by ear, but like you said, with Jay and Les in such lockstep, some of that doesn't necessarily get covered up, but can be harder to parse out. Blas, as you said, what's going on in that B part where we get that trebly, crunchy guitar part? And I don't know if the bass and guitar, they're pretty close.
The heavy part,
doing,
right?
Yeah.
It's pretty much, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And, but Les is throwing in, some ghosts in there too. But it's, and this is like the reason, I fell in love with Primus, or it's like these types of riffs, these like total bonehead, like 2-note riffs. This is why I love Primus. It's just. And, that the tone that Todd gets, I've always wondered what pedal he was using or what. It's like the crappiest, best tone ever. Like it totally, cause it could easily turn into like some stupid, like, metal thing where you're just like, like, all right. But it's not, it's like metal without being metal. It's just like, he chose like the perfect tone for it. And it's like, man, it's so cool. What did he use?
Yeah. It's crunchy and dry and trebly. It does remind me of like the first distortion pedals somebody handed me and said, here, I don't want this anymore. You can have it. Which should have been assigned to me, but I thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, I agree. Now that Blas mentioned that, it's absolutely true. I mean, forgive me for making this connection, but just in terms of the sound quality, it reminds me of Buddy Holly by Weezer. It's distortion, but it's kind of muddy. It's not in your face.
Yeah, it's that it's almost I don't know if it's intentional or just what they had, but it's it's such a, because it's just a 2-note riff, chromatic going back and forth. So it's very evil sounding, dun, 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 dun. And it's very tempting to just be like, all right, dude, we're going to go full on, thrash, we're going to get that thrash tone here and we're just going to fucking open up the pit, but it's not like they decided to go, let's get it's almost like they recorded it in a chicken shack, it's like bang, 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 and it's so agitated, it's just this different kind of aggression, and you're just like, dude, that's such a cool choice, you guys took it there instead of like the other way, which it could have been, lack of a better term, could have been cheesy. Dude, yeah, I love that riff, and those kinds of riffs that Primus does. It's like, that's why I love Primus. I'm always like, oh, dude, I need more of those.
Dude, you got to realize that's like a whole different spectrum of Les's mind of writing songs, which is awesome, And then of course, when Tim and Lur got in the band and they ran out of old Primus songs and they had to start writing new shit, is where it became what it is, what everyone knows,
Yeah.
So that's what's so unique about this record is it's a recapture of what it was before what everyone knows. And like, Frankie, you didn't listen to it, you just bought it, and you know what I mean? It's like that kind of thing has gone on. But if you're a fan of Les and Primus or Todd and Jay, and you listen to this motherfucking thing, it's incredible. The whole thing,
absolutely,
beginning to end, like everything about it to me is incredible that they did this, that Les made this happen.
Yeah. And that B part that Blas you just modeled also reminds me of that kind of that Claypoolian structure where the first couple of beats are full of notes and then there's some space. And because I heard you hitting some of those muted you're getting some of those muted things in there, but then it opens up a little bit and you can improv a little bit or mess around. And that's something that Les does pretty regularly. So, I wonder if that's part of the allure for you to play that part, because it's a really cool groove. And then you know what you're doing. You got the space to make something cool out of it.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of I guess his vibe, and it's something you hear a lot in like older funk lines, it's that 1, 2, 3, busy, 1, 2, 3.
Right.
I
think it's also, it's a key point that Blas brought up. Like, okay, let's open this up and get the pit going. But when Prelude to Fear got written in '87, there was no pits for this kind of music,
right.
Like Primus kind of was one of those bands that had this weirdo type of music that was mosh pit,
Sorry, dude. And dude, I've always said this: the Primus mosh pits, were some of the gnarliest pits, like even more gnarly than Slayer. There's something about the funkiness and the grooviness of like a Primus show that, like, dude, the pits are insanely gnarly because there's just more movement. There's more like jumping up and down. It's insane. Like, the audience is part of the show. Dude, those shows were insane, dude.
I was there, man. Fortunately, I was standing on the stage. I wasn't in the pit. But I saw them from above. I saw all these dudes beating each other up over Jerry was a race car driver.
That was me, dude. That I was the target market. I was a 15-year-old kid.
There you go.
Man. Floor.
Unless you had to wait in there to take away a microcassette recorder. Yeah, you were pretty safe.
And Pork Chop used to always like show up on the bus and he'd have like a bunch of t-shirts and jackets and be like, what the fuck is all that weird? Dude, pit swag, man. All these motherfuckers get crazy and their shit starts flying, dude. Look at this killer jacket I got. Wait, I got a cool shirt. Pit swag, dude. He called it pit swag.
Swag.
So funny. So when people throw stuff on stage at whatever shows I'm at, I always call it pit swag in honor of Pork Chop calling it that. Because literally, motherfuckers are losing shoes, jackets, shirts.
Oh, yeah.
Pants. I don't know, man.
Wow.
I never got down in the nitty gritty down there like that.
Yeah.
No, thanks, man.
Dress the family.
Slip-ons. Yeah, not good. Van slip-ons, not good.
Yeah.
Good.
No, you need your big shit kicker lace ups for something of that nature. Yeah. I just want to play that first lick again from the record because Soya, I just saw you drumming for Victim's Family, and I know you're a damn good drummer. So if you can describe, because Jay, I mean, you said he's doing this hi-hat stuff, but from that early version, we kind of just heard the 1, 2, 3, 4, that backbeat, and it sounds to me like obviously Jay's not doing that. I think he kind of gets us started with the standard backbeat, but then he drops it out on the 3 and gives it back to us on the 4.
Listen to his kick drum against what the bass is doing.
Man.
Terrible.
So then that last beat or half a beat that he gets there with that rolling hi-hat fill, and he does something different right there before the vocals come in, but that rolling hi-hat is just...
Well, emulating Jay Lane is tough. We all know that. I mean, he's got a smoothness and a groove that's like no other. He's one of my favorite drummers, in my top 5 favorite drummers. I learned how to play that on my own. I didn't have anybody. I just emulated it as best I could. And on the Punch Bowl tour, Tim Alexander would show up, 10 minutes late for the line check, sound check, and I'd be up on the drums, and me and Les would bust into either that or we would do
Precipitation?
Yeah. But I would always try to play that because I could do it. I could do that little I don't know if I did the kick drum correct enough, but it was enough that got Les's juices. And you go, ooh, so hey, and I could keep up with it, But Jay Lane is an anomaly, and as we'll go through this record and these songs, like there's shit that he does that is so fucking weird and hard to figure out. And I discussed it many times with Brain and trying to figure out certain parts of all these songs because he had to play this tour, as said in your post today.
Yep.
Brain did the last 2 weeks of that Rollins helmet thing, and I've had deep discussions with Brain about it. And Jay's a fucking tough nut, man. He's got some weird psychotic shit, and Les has got some weird psychotic shit, and they meet in the middle. It's so fucking weird, man, how amazing those two together are, It's trippy.
Yeah.
So, Prelude to Fear, drum beat, I mean, it's really Jay Lane foot hitting with Les's thumb, man, and his hi-hat shit just piles on top of it to make it more unique, It's trippy.
Yeah, for sure. And then we get that layered vocal on top with the just he's building something there. And then we get the narrator vocals too, which if this is the second song he did for Primus, like that's he's already finding his voice with that narrator, possibility and doing the nasal thing and the over the heavy part too with that a little more aggressive I don't know exactly what he's saying because these lyrics aren't printed anywhere.
Right.
But the act, that kind of you get a little fry in there too. So he's bringing it early on, and we kind of heard it in that demo.
Yeah. The other unique thing about the Sausage record that I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but Jay Lane does not hit the rack or the floor tom except for recreating.
Yes, I remember you mentioning that to me at some point, and I went back and listened, and he's
it's kick, hat, and snare on the whole thing, and. Les told me they got to the point where they were getting to recreating moment, and Les realized, dude, you haven't fucking hit the toms yet. Oh, okay, well, I'll hit him in this one. And then that's why there's all these toms all over recreating because Jay did just was keeping up with Les's fucking thumb, man. He didn't care about the toms,
Yeah, I think Jay can just live on a hi-hat, snare, and kick and be just fine.
With him and Les all day, all night, every day. It's like they don't need toms.
Yeah,
but when he does hit them, is amazing. And there might be 2 songs on Sausage where he hits the rack on the floor. I think there's another one.
Okay,
Frankie.
I'm thinking about it.
I think that's what really separates this from Primus. It's got a different name, a couple of different guys on it, but just that the drums are what really separates this from Primus. Jay and Tim, so different, but both so incredibly talented with their own voicings.
Yeah. I mean, Jay's part in this song is equal to Les. They just play the same thing over and over and over and over again, you know?
Yeah.
And they go to that second part, we're talking the heavier part, and there's really nothing else to it, man. And it's phenomenal the whole way through. It's flawless. It's not like one section is better than the other. It's just the same fucking thing, and it's awesome the whole time.
Yeah, and that's kind of the genius of it. I could listen to it on loop. Blas, go ahead. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, that's the one thing, talking about the toms, that's what stood out to me as a kid listening to it, was just Tim Alexander is fucking tom master, you know? Like just Bible beats, just octobons, like just, man, love it. Love all that shit that he does.
Yeah.
And then you got this guy that's like just a badass, but coming from the other side of the street.
It's from a dance band perspective, you know, like he was in all these funky bands and dance bands where there was no tom parts, and it was only used in the drum solo section when you got your spotlight, you know. Yeah. There's no tom hitting in dance songs, you know. And, you know, Les had the leg warmers on and writing these dance tunes, you know. Jay knew not to hit the toms, you know.
Yeah. You're not going to get those sweet Southbound Pachyderm fills in those dance tunes. That's going to kill the vibe. That's for sure.
Man, watching Jay in the later version when he came in on the Naga HUD, playing some of those Tim parts, just not his vibe, but he had to do it. You know, it was just as funny as watching Tim try to play the dance band song like this, or not this. You know what I mean? It's
right.
Like, it's kind of funny, the crisscross of those two coming in and out, coming and going. But
absolutely,
yeah, Jay is straight kick hat snare, man. That's it.
Yeah.
Solid as a rock.
Love it.
And better than you every time.
You know, we don't have printed lyrics, so I wasn't going to go into them too much, but my thoughts on it are, from what I can tell, and Frankie, I think you wanted to talk lyrics too, but from what I can glean just by listening, they point to all these situations in which danger may lurk. We don't know that it actually does. And so a lot of our listeners say, I don't really listen to the lyrics, so it's really great that you do this, Josh, but I don't have much to go on this time because I don't have any official lyrics. But if I was going to give this an alternate title, I think it would be Intrusive Thoughts, because all these people are in these situations where they think something awful is going to happen. But I'll turn it to you, Frankie.
It sounds like free association to me. It sounds like a train of thought, like random ideas that came to his mind as he was singing into the microphone. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. It sounds like a description of something ominous around the corner, particularly the street, like not well lit by lightning, right?
Yes, the midnight aerobic jaunt, which is a wonderful turn of phrase there. Yeah.
Deep sense of curiosity is interesting because it gives you that perspective that even if you know that there's danger around the corner, there's a part of you that can't help looking, right?
Right. And then this all comes together with that repetition with that vocal fry, this is only a test. And that's really cool because that's what those intrusive thoughts essentially are. It's, what if somebody jumps out at me? Well, let's find out. You know, that's what are you going to do? You put yourself in that situation. So that's, but I love that this is only a test that didn't actually happen. So that's kind of cool. And it does bring those lyrics together for me. And that's a lot of fun.
You say waiting for the word?
I love that part. Waiting for the word.
I love that, man. I mean, he brought that shit across the board into all Primus with that weird, talky, sublime kind of it's all down there. You know, I love that, and he hides it in with vocals that are going, layering it. You know, that talky thing is awesome.
Oh, I love it, and it's that particular one. So I'm glad you brought that one up because it's like a pronouncement. Waiting for the word. He doesn't. Yeah. He lets it hang. All right, Blas, so you're gonna play this and give us the vocals at the same time, right?
Yeah, I wish, dude.
Come on, man.
I wouldn't even bother. It just sounds like it would be so difficult. But really, they're kind of fun lyrics, and I kind of want to listen to them really closely, see if I can transcribe them sometime.
And retribution, react, evaluate the act.
Yes.
Is very interesting.
Yeah. And then, once again, Les, at this point, not the greatest singer, so that when he sings disarray, he's somewhere in there, right? But it's the word, I think, makes great sense there as well. But with that, evaluate the act, because this is me motioning the mindset of the person that's in this situation, because it's a prelude to fear. They're not actually afraid, but these are the things that could happen to make them afraid. So it's a pretty cool lyrical take. Oh, I lost my place. Oh, here it is. All right, I want to do something that we started a little while ago, and Blas and Soya, you are saints for sitting through this. But this is called Primates Takes, and what I'll do is, over at patreon.com/Primus Tracks, a couple of days before we record an episode such as this, I'll throw up a post and ask, hey, what do you guys think of this track? And I pick some of the more thoughtful comments, and I'll read them right here. So I picked a few. Our first one is from Travis in Alaska. Prelude to Fear, his thoughts. When the first notes came through the speakers, I almost drove off the road. I was already in love with Primus, but wasn't sure to expect. Les's groove right out of the gate was so satisfying, I was instantly hooked. Blas, that sounds like your experience.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, Travis is an interesting guy because he was playing jazz band. Sorry, he was playing saxophone in the jazz band in high school. And so mostly he was listening to jazz. And he said that Primus was his little pop culture rebellion, his little thing that he could listen to off to the side. And he says Sausage has a definite jazz influence and sensibility. And I think it's coming straight from Jay Lane.
Yeah.
John Shreve said it's more deliberate, more creepy, and more technical on the bass than any Primus at the time. That's a big statement considering we had stuff like Tommy and Jerry already out there. But Blas, you showed it. It's pretty complicated.
Yeah, I would say this is a little more complicated than Jerry. It's hard to compare it to Tommy the Cat. It's just two different, like, that's apples and oranges, but yeah, dude, yeah, this is pretty hard, dude. It's kind of like a Stanley Clark kind of level of hard,
Wow.
Where you're like, damn, yeah, nice one, dude.
Johnny Perona says, when I was 13, I started taking bass lessons. My instructor asked me to put 4 songs on a cassette tape. He then said he would teach me how to play them. And he says, I put Prelude to Fear on as the opening track. My teacher was kind, but he said something like, I think this is a bit advanced. Oh, man. I think he was right, Johnny. I like that one. He does go on to say that it's an absolute beast of a track, and we're discovering that today. And then finally, Anthony Del Preet says, I honestly think that Prelude to Fear is one of the most angular type tracks on the whole record. Todd's guitar textures are out of this world. The crossover between the straight-ahead driving rock rhythm, sounds like the B part, is amazing. And then you mix it with those weird and crazy verses. Hey, these guys should do the podcast. Those are great thoughts. I don't have to do this anymore, Soya. Man,
I'm just wading through the bullshit right now. I'm trying to keep up with you guys. You know more than me, man.
Nah, you've got the nuggets, though. That was great, man. I didn't know you were up there at Soundcheck, playing Prelude with Les. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
What a good time.
I'll let you know this. Also, the moment I got back with Primus in 94.
Uh-huh.
When Victim's Family, we kind of were like, okay, we're done with this for now. And first thing I did was hook back up with Les, as you probably heard me tell you 500 times.
A couple times.
The first gig that I did back helping them out was Sausage did a gig in Palo Alto at a club, right? And it was the precursor to, okay, so you're in, we're going to do this new record, we're going to start recording. But before that, we're going to do this Sausage show. And the opening band was Merv, and it was the first live show of Merv ever.
Oh.
And it was Brain, Merv, House, and I think that's it. It was a trio.
Oh, wow.
It was bizarre. But it was Sausage, and I was so stoked because I saw Sausage just after the Rollins thing. They did a festival down in Monterey at the Laguna Seca Days, and they opened for Fish on the day that Fish played. It was awesome.
Oh, right.
And it was just after the Rollins helmet thing, which was rad. And that's kind of me and Les were like, oh yeah, dude, we're kind of reconnected again because, you know, I'd been on Victim's Family fan tours. But man, we did that gig and it was like fucking Jay Lane ripping, and they had just sausage. Oh my God, it's time to listen to this record. It's my favorite record. And I got to see him do it live, like sitting right behind Jay and handing Les's bass. You know, it's like, fuck. Amazing shit, man. Incredible.
Yeah,
be
being
there
that close to Jay.
Sausage, man. It's just unbelievable, man.
Right on.
Frankie, you know, you saw that shit. Even that New Year's show just was face melting. Like, it's, you can't even believe when those three get together and they do that shit. It's amazing, man.
That was a great night. That's for sure.
Man.
Josh,
were you there, dude? Josh?
I was there, but I was in the nosebleeds.
Josh, a couple of things. The first one is I just wanted to highlight the track at 2 minutes with 24 seconds because there is a really, really cool bass field there that I always enjoy listening to. Could you play it?
Yes, if it's the one. Oh my gosh, I really hope it's the one I'm thinking of. Let's see.
2 minutes, 24 seconds.
Because it presages something that Soya loves. Doesn't that sound like the call down?
Yeah. Yeah, that might be the precursor, where he got it from.
That could be the genesis of it, because when I was coming back listening to this track, I thought, oh, it's Soya's favorite. It's the call down.
That's just what he adopted as, like, here's the signal. Okay. And he does it on the Sausage record a couple times, actually. Because, you know, like I said, him and Jay did that together. So Les had the arrangement in his head, even though Todd wasn't there, and Jay was just all, hey, all right, good. And Les was like, come on, bring it out. We're to right here. Because he knew he was probably singing the verses and the choruses in his head. And Jay's just playing along. So Les is just, that was his cue. That's where it came from, dude. It had to be.
Has to be. Absolutely.
Play it again. Hear that again?
I'll play it again. Yeah, I'll play it again.
No, that wasn't it. There's another song where he actually does it. Maybe Here's to the Man. We'll get to it. There's another song where you can tell he does that.
It might be Toys 88, but I could be wrong. Yeah.
He does it. That's where he got it from, was on the Sausage record. Awesome.
Blas, do you find yourself doing that a lot, doing the thing?
Yeah.
Tell the drummer to shut up.
It's the thing with doing stuff like that is you're just like you're communicating, you're signaling like, all right, here comes this part, or we're done with this part, here we go. And it's doing stuff like that is just a big like, you with me, okay, here we go, boom, I'll land together. So yeah, it works, man.
It sounds great on that jazz bass too. It sounds like it's about to explode. Because he's so far, it sounds like he's really high up on the neck or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's playing the riff just way up on the neck. He just gets up there.
Yeah,
he does that.
Yeah.
Wow, dude, that's impressive.
Well, thank you.
That's amazing.
Love
Josh,
that little film.
You must play with George Harrison's son or something, like somebody heavy. You're good.
Josh, I have a bit of a discrepancy with the lyrics because, as you mentioned, they're not printed anywhere. And according to the internet, it's focusing slow but steady. Weirdness creeps. But I've always heard awareness creeps.
I've always heard awareness too. And that's...
Yes. And it says physical sensation, the chill, the possibility of mobility. What I hear is possible immobility.
Ooh.
Which kind of makes more sense because, I mean, fear produces people to feel paralyzed, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Fight or flight. The immobility would be freezing as opposed to fighting or fleeing. Absolutely. Good ones, Frankie. Those are ones I didn't hear clearly, so I didn't want to assume I knew them.
How about the live cuts to see what Blas and Tim got to say?
There's more. We heard some great stuff already.
Yes, right.
Yeah, we got a few more.
Let's start in Berkeley, California, Greek Theater, 1994.
Sausage Tour.
This is Jay.
The management has informed me that if you don't stop the stage diving, we're going to have to shut the show down.
Hey, oh my God.
Even faster. It's really clear on that one. You can hear that bass line better.
Here he does the super fast hi-hat into the super fast hi-hat part. There's like, what? And it's like going a million miles an hour. What the fuck, man?
Boy, they upped that tempo. Blas, I don't know, man. What do you think at that tempo?
Dude, that just shows you it's effortless for Les. It's just something that flows out of him. That's just like, yeah, that's what he does. It's just hard. That's how he's wired, you know?
Like I was saying earlier, Blas, like he hasn't been playing this song for 15 years or whatever the fuck, and he plays it twice as fast now like it's nothing. And you're like, oh, I don't know how he gets to that one thing. And he's like, 2.5 minutes, he just never plays anything different. And it's like flawless. It's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, it reminds me of like when you would hear, what's the funky drummer, James Brown?
Yeah.
You hear that dude play the funky drummer, it sounds just like it, but no.
With that crazy open hi-hat thing comes in.
Like nobody else can play that. That's like Les Claypool is the same way. It's just like there's only that one dude that can play it that way. It's
right on.
Bizarre.
And that's Jay Lane, man. This is incredible, this record, because it's captured some Jay Lane stuff that's like you can't recreate it, man.
Yeah.
People can emulate it and try, and it's just like, well, there's going to be a test at the end of this episode I'm going to put you to, but we'll get to that later.
Oh, that's right.
And when you hear that drumming, it makes perfect sense that Les would use 777 as the Ring of Fire, right?
Right.
Oh, yes. His that's the one that separates the wheat from the chaff for his drummers, right?
If you get close, you're in. If you like laugh and go, nope, Les goes next, you're not the drummer. At least try. Let me hear what you got, you know?
Yeah. Our next live one, now we're getting into Frog Brigade days, so we're going to hear a little bit of a difference here. This is 2001. A Frog Brigade version of it. I've got February 3rd, 2001, but I don't have a location on that one, Frankie.
Who's the drummer?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Let me confirm.
Well, I'll tell you in 2 seconds as soon as I hear it.
Play it.
Here we go.
That's Jay.
Listen to all those people yelling and screaming. Herb fans pissed. Yeah, that sounds like Jay for sure. Oh, there's a little Skerrick. I'm going to forward it ahead so we can hear some of that jammy. Yeah.
Man, there's something about the way Jay hits the one and then loosens and hits the one and loosens and hits the one, and it's unique, man.
Yeah.
What did you say the date was, Josh?
February 3rd, 2001 is what I have.
February 3rd, 2001 is the Newport Hall in Columbus, Ohio, and it is indeed Jay Lane.
All right. And then we got Skerrick jamming over this like crazy.
Jamming or honking? How do you
Yeah. Honking. That's some pretty cool stuff happening there, though, with the stop-start. That sounds great.
Yeah, that's cool.
Our last sample is actually the Rat Brigade, and this was a one-off, if I remember correctly, Frankie.
Completely one-off. Yeah,
yeah,
one of the rarest iterations of Les Claypool.
Who's in the band?
Yeah, I don't remember who's in the band. It's Jay and Les, right? And then who else?
All I got is that this is Gathering of the Vibes 2007, but there isn't a lineup available. Just a couple of sit-ins. It says that Kenny Brooks was there, Bob Weir, just a bunch of people coming on and off the stage.
I think it was more or less Les Claypool playing with Rat Dog. Yeah. It was Les with Rat Dog. And then Kenny Brooks, Bob Weir jumping on. Kenny Brooks, by the way, Alphabet Soup, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago. All right, so let's hear the Rat Brigade with Prelude to Fear. Making those guys learn a sausage tune. Jay.
Yeah.
Interesting. You gotta approximate Todd somehow.
That's Jeff Kameni doing that on keys.
I think so, yeah. It doesn't have the same resonance, obviously. Jeff was probably just thrown into the deep end on that one.
Yeah,
he likes to smoke weed and he's the deadhead, so well, I'll give him that.
He did his best.
I love Jeff Kenny. He's a great dude, man.
Oh, man.
That was unique.
That was interesting. Short notice. But that's cool because this tune itself has resurfaced in all these different forms, and Sausage has even resurfaced a couple of times.
If you noticed, Blas, you'll probably agree. Frankie might not, but every single one of you guys that played, Les and Jay are playing the exact same thing, and they are locking in the exact same tightness, and it's the exact same thing. And other people are just kind of, what do we do? How do you play? Whoa, how about this? Ooh.
Yeah, it's definitely Les and Jay's party.
Man, I mean, they are just commandeering, coming in with the keg over their head, like, need the beer. Hold your cup up. Oh, your cup's spilling because you suck. How about that?
Well, definitely Todd was able to find the space and make something really interesting to round out this track on the studio version. But I think this would be a really difficult one, and Blas and Soya, you can speak to it. I think it would be a really difficult one to say, okay, we're going to play this one, and you've got a couple of hours to learn it, or a couple of days to learn it.
Oh, my God.
Well, of course. I mean, Todd Huth, his uniqueness in Primus in the early days, up until, Suck on This, was that he knew how to navigate Les's parts and create something that was equally impressive and part of it, yet it was completely batshit crazy from some other direction, but it fit,
Yeah.
Like all that Herald of the Rocks and Pudding Time and all that goofy shit that they credited Todd with because it was so unique. They had to,
Absolutely.
Wasn't
And this,
just playing chords. He was making some weird shit that fit perfect with all that stuff.
And this line that guitar line on that A part is so melodic. So poor Jeff Clementi, he's got to. Sorry, buddy. I don't know. I don't think they did you dirty, but they didn't do you any favors on that one. I think we can say with that, Prelude to Fear, no tienes miedo, porque you've been tracked. Next time, Frankie, put on your thinking cap. We're going to have to solve some riddles.
Hold on a second.
Can't wait.
This episode's not over yet.
Oh, Soya, why not?
We have a bass player on the episode. All right,
it.
Blas.
All right.
Soya's been testing this for the last 30 years.
Let's do it.
No joke.
How's that?
Do it again. Hold on a second. That was fucking ripping, dude. Wow, dude.
Yeah!
Okay. That is officially the best and closest version of Tommy the Cat on Primus tracks we have heard since I've been on this show. Wow, dude. Impressive.
Yay me!
Yeah, congratulations, Blas
Good
Perez.
Lord, dude. That's almost as good as Josh fucking Moreau from Katy Perry Band played it. Wow.
Dude, we got to battle. I want to battle him now.
Don't even ever go online and show people what you're doing, because I love it when the people say, "Here's how it goes," and they play it like shit. It's like, you're a dork.
Yeah, dude, I feel the same way. But
Figured it out, dude. You almost have it. That's amazing.
thank you, dude.
Soya seal of approval.
Damn.
Oh, man. Blas, thank you so much. You guys can find Blas on Instagram at TurboFace, one of the coolest Instagram handles we over here. If you want to be rejected by Tim Soya, all you have to do is send a follow request at Tim Soya. And of course, you can find us at Primus Tracks on Instagram and Twitter. Primus Tracks Pod at email. Primus Tracks Pod at gmail.com is the email address. And the Facebook page maintained by Frankie, which apparently is now used for only spite posting.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Occasionally.
you for that confirmation. And patreon.com/Primus Tracks for all your Josh and Frankie needs. Maybe we'll take the spite posting over there and have a good time. Soya, Blas, thank you both again for your time and for...
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Blas.
You guys really
Blas.
helped us.
Yeah.
This has been a great, fun episode. Thank you, guys, man. I've had a great time tonight. I can't wait for the next one.
We're talking sausage. It doesn't get much better than that.
Josh, I got a question for you regarding the next episode.
Bring
We're
it.
not going to spoil it for the listeners, but I can only tell you that we'll have Tim and we'll also have 2 guests on board. So how are you going to divide the pie? Because you cannot cut it in 2, right?
Hold on. Mental math. Oh, it's going to be tough. I'll bring my tools. We'll divide the pie evenly. You know, Soya and I can share. We're pals. Thanks again, Primates, for listening. Soya and Blas had a blast with both of you. Thank you so much. Later days.
Willie Mays.
This is only a